conspiracy theories were right, or at least it would seem that way at first. When the Doctor Who Commander decks came out and they had really expensive and quite pristine and high quality reprints in the land base, people were wondering why. At the forefront of all this was the Horizon lands. Getting reprints of most of the Horizon lands in a pre-con was absolutely wild. No one expected it. Big hits, very popular, dragged their price down from the $15-20 down to like a couple of dollars each at present time. People were very quick to claim that this was in order to sell the Doctor Who products to people who don't like Doctor Who. Your average Magic player who wants a good mana base in a pre-con or wants to get hold of these lands for cheap. After all, to sell a product like this to a large enough audience, you need to hit different bases. Doctor Who fans, your average Magic players, people who want staples, yada yada yada. Including some modern staples in there like the what the f are they called? Flooded thingy. I'll put them on screen now. Sunbit Canyon. I never remember the names of these fucking things. It's not Flooded Grove. That's the Lorwyn one. Modern lands will attract modern players to crack the collector boosters or buy the product. That's the logic there. But I put my foot down and said, hang on. Let's give people the benefit of the doubt. This isn't necessarily something we can look and see a pattern for. This is like the beginning of something, right? Why didn't we wait for the Ixalan decks to see if there's better mana bases in those? The Ixalan decks are here, and I need to eat crow. I'm a fucking idiot. I was wrong. All that and more in today's video. If you're looking to buy singles or sealed product like Commander decks, use the link in the description below to coolstuffinc.com. Use code Kenobi at checkout, get 5% off your order, and it all helps to support the show. And if you really like what I do, why don't you check out my Patreon? For $2 a month, you can help support the channel and the stupid fucking videos I make, the serious fucking videos that I make, and get involved with my Discord server. Link in the description below. I try my hardest not to doom spiral in a well of negativity. I can be quite the critic of Magic because I love it so much. I can be hypercritical of Wizards. Some people love that, some people hate that. If you actually enjoy my takes, whether you think they're measured or just hypercritical, I'd love to know, by the way. This is not engagement bait, it's just nice to hear positive feedback sometimes in the comments. If you like the way I engage with topics, let me know. If you want to give me unrequested advice, I had a guy in my comment section the other day. I asked, do you want to see more modern gameplay? And he was like, actually, I think your thumbnails are bad and you should do things more like this other YouTuber. And I was like, fuck off. That's not helpful. So the point I was originally making is that I don't want to immediately assume that the better mana bases are simply there to widen the audience of this product. I wanted to assume that this might be them listening to the feedback that the Commander decks normally have pretty shitty mana bases and they're improving them going forward. I wanted to see Ixalan land show better mana bases and then we can see a positive trend moving forward. But Ixalan is here and the mana bases fucking suck. To get a bit more in depth about it, the reason the Doctor Who mana base was so good is they had Haunted Ridge and Deserted Beach. I'm not really sure what we even call these days. They're the Midnight Hunt lands that come to play untapped if you control 2 or more other lands. They're fantastic for Commander. These are a few dollars. I think they see play in Pioneer as well. I'm not 100% sure off the top of my head. And these are a good include. The Horizon lands, named after Horizon Canopy and the Modern Horizons where they got printed, are all lands that can be sacked to draw a card, and they pain you when you're using them for the mana fixing. These cards are great. They are modern playable. Hell, they're legacy playable. These lands are fantastic, and seeing them we put in the Commander Precon was great. There were also less expensive lands which were also solid picks. River of Tears being a personal favourite of mine that I think more people should play, as well as creature lands like Creeping Tar Pit and Celestial Colonnade, making their way into Commander decks for the first time since New Capenna. That's right, Creeping Tar Pit was last seen in a New Capenna Precon. The Villains deck had a full set of all 3 on-colour Scry Temples and only actually had 6 basic lands total because it had such a stacked mana base. Meanwhile, the Caverns of Ixalan decks are considerably worse by comparison. Arguably, 3 of the decks being 2 colour has less space to jam in just 3 of a cycle of lands. But the Dino deck is Naya, it's red, white and green, and it has 0 of the Scry lands, for example, 0 of the fast lands, and to check my notes, it has 1 check land. It has Clifftop Retreat. There are no high-profile land reprints in here at all. In essence, we are back to the usual suspects when it comes to precon lands. A load of ETB tapped shit that is bound to be upgraded further down the line because it's not really that good. Now, to say something perhaps controversial is that I've never really banged the drum about the precon lands. I mean, I would like them to be better, but I've never thought they were dysfunctional. Of all the things I would like to bang the drum about to get Wizards to change, this was just not one of the ones that I was that invested in. But to see them actually take on board the feedback and change games, the Doctor Who decks looked great. To see them step backwards with this product is shit. Now, to play devil's advocate for the fucking billion-dollar corporation for a moment, there are a couple of excuses here. Some of them valid, some of them less valid for why this might have happened. First of all, let's talk lead time, right? Things are designed for fucking 2 years in advance. There was a good chance that the Caverns of Ixalan commander decks and the Doctor Who commander decks might have been designed alongside one another. I have a feeling that I've heard a What's member of staff say on a stream, or maybe in a conversation with myself at convention, that this is the case, but I can't confirm that. I can't find any confirmation of that, but I feel like it might be the case, so I've heard it somewhere. That would mean that perhaps as they made the decision to power up and juice up the commander mana bases of the Doctor Who decks, that just didn't get ported over to the other project, that ended up coming out one after the other. Basically, if this is the excuse they want to run with, or the excuse we allow them to run with, then we really need to wait for at least one more commander product that would have been designed after the fact. The Fallout decks, for example, or the commander decks for whatever the first set of next year is. I don't fucking know. What is it? Murder at Karlov Mansion? In essence, we do need to see a few examples to recognise a trend. One blip after this first initial point is perhaps forgivable, but we will see. I might be eating more crow as more and more shit commander mana bases come out in the next 6 months. The other excuse that I think is complete dog shit, but I know I'm going to hear it at some places, is that it's all about how much money you spend on the product. If you spend more money, you get more powerful cards. A thing that Mark Rosewall has literally said on his Tumblr blog, and I really wish he hadn't. MSRP is gone, right? There is no MSRP for these products, but the commander decks for normal sets are at a lower price point to the Universes Beyond ones like the Warhammer and the Doctor Who. They are slightly more expensive. In England, they're around the £50 mark to buy. Actually, I think I have one. Here you go. I'm holding it upside down because there's a dice rattling around. I've opened it up to look at the thingy. This is the other. I got 2 of each of them because I'm fucking mad for this shit. But the second ones that I'm going to use for editing and making into new decks, this one I haven't got around to opening yet. I got it later because of the resupply. It was £50 at my local store. There's also a third tier, which is your Commander Masters product, which is the upper tier, and I hate that. Now, I can stomach the upper price for Universes Beyond compared to normal Commander products because I just assume that's a licensing fee, and also the Universes Beyond stuff has just so many other art assets made for it that the production cost for the product would be a lot higher than it would be for a normal Commander deck, where most of the cards are reprints with existing art. Both Doctor Who and Warhammer had hundreds, maybe even nearly 1,000 pieces of new art made. Every card was reskinned into their appropriate canons, and thus the amount of money spent on artists and stuff would make the overheads for those products higher. Should that translate to a £10 increase in price to the end consumer? There's the debate around that, but I can swallow that because of those reasons. What I don't like is this idea that Wizards of the Coast can determine, based upon the power of the cards, their desirability in a secondary market that they pretend not to acknowledge, based upon those assets, those elements, they can increase the price of shit. Wizards of the Coast do obviously design and print the cards, but I don't think that should be something they can dip into. The equity or the extra money that is made in the secondary market by cards being desirable within casual and competitive formats, that is a byproduct of Magic existing, a byproduct that props the entire secondary market and all of the economy and ecosystem around that up. Wizards shouldn't be able to dip their fingers into both selling on the primary market and then get extra money for the secondary market because cards are desirable. It shouldn't work that way. And this is a point that I'm going to talk about in a different video at another time, but it does fucking annoy me to see them increase the cost of packs and boosters and precons because the cards are more powerful and more desirable. They're eating up all the reprint equity and reprinting people's collections into the ground and destroying the inventory of local game stores and online sellers, and then just selling that resale, that reprinting back to us at a higher cost. They can't have their cake and eat it. And I'm not saying reserve lists are good. I'm not saying staples shouldn't be reprinted. I'm saying that there should be some collectible cards that keep their value. That's all a massive part of trading in collectible card games. Maybe foils, maybe alternate arts. Different video. But besides wanting to charge us more money to give us better cards, why else would they choose to just hamstring the mana bases of every fucking precon except for the expensive ones? And there's a really interesting point I want to add in here, is that the upper, I mentioned 3 price points, normal Universes Beyond level, and then whatever the fuck you call Commander Masters. Commander Masters mana bases were also garbage. That's the really interesting thing. They charged you a bomb for all these premium new cards, and the mana bases were fucking shite. Well, the reason that they want to dump all the reprint equity into this product and just give it to you is that means they can't sell you more stuff later. It makes it harder for them to manage the well that is reprint equity. This concept that there are only so many cards that are desirable, that if they reprinted all of them in one go, every card that is worth more than $10 in one go, then all those cards would plummet in price and thus be less desirable, and thus they can't package that desirability to sell you booster packs and other products going forward. That equity has to be managed. They have to slowly drip feed it out. It's why they hold on to certain rare lands at the fetch lands for so long, to allow them to put them in a product to hype it up later. They can't just make every mana base shocks, fetches, and fucking dual proxies. That wouldn't work from the perspective of Wizards of the Coast, at least. And I get it. I get that they kind of have to do that. They can't just give us, thousands of dollars worth on the secondary market, at least, of cards into the pre-cons. A, it would just, the secondary market would be dead. That'll be it. Nothing would be worth anything anymore. And that's an issue for the game stores and companies involved with it. But B, I also get that if that didn't collapse things, the product would be bought and gouged. And I get that they also need to sell us stuff further down the line. They can't give us everything now and then struggle to give us new stuff later. Hell, that would lead to power creep. That's kind of what's happening with Modern Horizons at the moment, and I'm scared for Modern Horizons 3, where they've reprinted everything to be worth nothing, and the only things that are worth anything are the power crept super stables that they print directly into Modern. So Modern Horizons 3 has to produce more of those, right? Hell, they just used up some of the equity from Modern Horizons 2 or Modern Horizons 1 with the Canopy lands, interestingly. So whilst I get that perspective, I do believe that they could throw us a bit more of a bone by putting a few better cards in there. The super interesting shit with this is that they are printing pretty good cards into the main decks. There's some pretty solid and quite expensive reprints. Hardened Scales has already crashed from getting reprinted into the ground, and here's another one. Black Market Connections, another staple that needed reprinting. Pitiless Plunder needed reprinting. Exquisite Bond or Sangrein Blood, whichever one is in these decks, needed reprinting. If we are to be fair to them, the actual cards that are in there, things like Blade of the Blood Chief and Kindred Moon, there's a load of cards that are even a few bucks that they're reprinting into these to make the general quality of the reprints pretty damn good. There's this weird argument where you're like, okay, you can only put a certain amount of reprint value into a pre-con. We know Wizards do this, even though they don't admit it. They cap themselves. And when it comes to Universes Beyond stuff like Doctor Who and Warhammer, a lot of the value comes not only from the reprints, but from the new shit. So much new shit, which leaves them room to spend reprint equity on lands, for example. I hope that's not the case. And I'm not even saying, like I said, I'm not even saying put fucking shocks and fetches into every mana base. I'm just saying, look at the Doctor Who decks. That is a prime example of what you can do. What I don't want to do is everyone criticizes and shouts about this and comments like I'm doing now, and then Wizards just see that as, well, we need to never do that again, because when we show them what we can give them, it makes them ask, why are we now eating the shit they give later? It's kind of like when they did the £20 Commander decks, the much lower end stuff with worse reprints and shit quality cards in them, essentially is the idea. But the fact they can just print and give us £20 precons like they did for, I think it was Kaldheim and Zendikar Rising, and then they went back to the normal £35 price point or whatever it is, £40 price point that we get for other Commander decks in the UK. At that point you're like, but you can print them for 20 quid. You've showed us. It's really hard to put that toothpaste back in the tube. Well, in that case it wasn't. Everyone forgot and carried on. But I remember, and I remember when the Doctor Who mana bases were good, and I said, I'm sure the next ones will be, and they fucking weren't. I don't know why I put my faith in the fact they would be. Come on, Wizards, prove the conspiracy theorists and now me wrong with the next precons. Make the mana bases not dog shit. Otherwise, everyone was correct. You simply put good lands in the Doctor Who product to sell it to a third part of the market share that you didn't think you would hit with the Doctor Who flavour and the unique cards. And that just sounds so fucking dire and so oh, capitalism makes people do these things, and I hate it. I fucking hate it, but it probably is the truth. I've been Vince, also known as PleasantKenobi on the internet. Fun fact, I played some Modern the last couple of days, and I fucking loved it. Mainly because I was beating Scam with some old favourites like Mana Tithe and Leon Arbiter. I will have gameplay for that up on the channel next week, so make sure you're looking out for that. If you haven't subscribed already, hit the subscribe button, and let me know in the comment section below what you think of these shit mana bases. I'll see you in the next one. Ta-ta for now.